putting enough conservatives on the Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. But a practical political solution that's achievable is to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. That's what we need to do. That's what the conservatives need to focus on, is to camera them and camera them. Because if we make it an economic issue, you'll be able to get more people on a consensus like the Blue Dog Democrats. Their big deal is economics, fiscal conservatism. If we make funding for Planned Parenthood an economic issue and not a social issue, I believe that we can cut that funding, and that will be a step in the right direction. But you have to be pragmatic. You have to find identifiable political solutions and then focus your energy on them. Yes, ma'am.
What area would be your passion? In other words, what is your passion, the one area that you would like to change more than anything else to make a difference?
Really, my three campaign planks are cutting federal spending, cutting taxes, and reducing illegal immigration. One of the things for federal spending, as a leader, as the pit bull, Ms. Wright said, I'm going to challenge every other member of Congress to find $1 billion in spending to cut. It can be in any agency, it can be through any grant, any foreign aid, and those members of Congress who can cut spending by $1 billion in their term should be reelected. And those who cannot need to be voted out of office, regardless of which party they're in. I will take a hardline stance on that because we are spending ridiculous amounts of money. When I was in high school, 13 years ago, the deficit was $4 trillion, and now it's almost 12. That is ridiculous. We have got to cut back on the spending, and that is, like I said, a pragmatic political solution. $1 billion per member of Congress. You could create so much grassroots support by having everybody contact each member of Congress and say, can you cut spending by $1 billion? That's a single $1 billion. And if they can't do it, you know how many of their constituents would be upset with that? Say all you ever do is spend money and, and spend more. So that's how I would address that.
So let's just say you hypothetically get elected. What are you going to do to keep yourself from being corrupt?
Well, my faith in God keeps me from being corrupted. I would not be here standing today, ladies and gentlemen, were it not for being a born-again Christian, for having my life radically changed by Jesus Christ. Okay? That is not some facade. I don't go like, President Obama and go speaking in churches and, pull out my religion when it's convenient. I will be completely honest with you. I would be either dead or in prison because of the lifestyle that I had before I became a Christian. I attend church 3 times a week, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. I'm part of the praise and worship team. I'm actually the interim youth pastor at my church. I have a huge influence over kids who look up to me and my wife, that come from broken homes, that come from horrible families. And I know that I have to be rock solid in my faith as a Christian because they are looking up to me daily because they do not see that in their homes. And I will do it only through the grace of God and through the prayers of others. But when I stop being a Christian, then that's probably when you need to vote me out of office because that's the only way I will be able to not be corrupt.
I'd like to read a couple of quotes and a comment and just get your feedback on. John Quincy Adams once said, always vote for principle, though you may vote alone, and you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost. As a federal representative, your #1 principle is obviously the Constitution, and it's where to uphold. And if you follow John Quincy's advice, you'll probably find yourself bucking party leadership on more than one occasion. Some people may view it as a bad thing. I don't. Thomas Jefferson said this of following blindly of a political party. He said, quote, I never submitted the whole system of my opinions to the creed of any party of man, whatever, in religion, philosophy, in politics, or in anything else, where I was capable of thinking for myself. Such an addiction is the last degradation of a free and moral agent. If I could not go to heaven but with a party, I would not go at all. Do you agree with John Quincy Adams on voting principle even though you might vote alone? And secondly, if you do agree, are you committed to following that despite political pressure by party leadership to the contrary?
Yes, absolutely. I will vote principle and not with the party. It takes a lot of guts to do what I'm doing. I'm 31 years old. I've taken a leave of absence from work. I've pulled out my retirement. This is a huge sacrifice for me and my wife because this is something that I truly feel heartfelt about doing. This isn't just something that, just came into my mind one day and said, this is what I need to do. And I'm tired of the spineless representatives that do that vote along with the party. And I will not be one of those people. I have never been somebody who goes along with the crowd. If I went along with the crowd, I would have probably taken the path that several other people have told me. You need to run for school board first. You need to run for state representative first. You need to work your way up. You need to get involved in the party and work your way up, and bid your time, and let these other people who have been in line, ahead of you do that. No, I don't think so. I'm following my heart and I'm following my principles. And I know that made a lot of people mad. I've been giving speeches after speech at these different areas in front of precinct chairs. I'm not getting, applause from people. I know I'm making a lot of people angry. It takes a lot of guts, which, like I said, nobody else has taken to task Kevin Brady over his failed leadership. Everything I've said to you, ladies and gentlemen, I've said to him in his face. And that's what the kind of person we need. And no, so to answer your question in the summary, I will vote on principle, not on party. If the party does something that I completely disagree with, that I believe isn't conservative, I will stand alone. Because the only thing they can do is kick me off of whatever committee they're in. But I know I ultimately am sent to Washington by the people.
Melecio, there's two items,
That's right.
Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution and the 10th Amendment. Do they matter? If so, why?
Yes, constitutional law for me. Is that what the states, if it's not, it's...
Well, Article 1, Section 8 are the enumerated powers of the federal government. The 10th Amendment says that all powers that are not explicitly reserved to the United States are reserved to the states and to the people, provided, those that are not prohibited by the Constitution.
These negative rights.
Yes, I think I think that's very relevant, and that's what we need to return to. The healthcare plan is a ridiculous grab for power, taking power and control from the states. A lot of federal funding for education, it comes with strings attached. I believe in local control. I believe that, from my experience with the federal government, when I worked for Congressman Poe, we would have people call us all the time, and they'd ask for help. And I tell them, look, if there is a local or a state solution to this, you want to start there first. The federal government should be the last place you go to, because it takes forever, there's so much red tape, and there's so much other effort involved. I am absolutely for local controls, local solutions, and state control. I'm against the federal government encroaching on more states' rights. But I've encountered that firsthand, and that's what I would tell people.
Yeah. Okay, questions that kind of dovetail. Back to your thing about time for change. Why did you decide to run this cycle? Brady's been in there for a long time. Why not 2 years ago? Why not wait for 2 years from now? Why now? And tied in possibly with that is, I gather you are no longer a speechwriter for Congressman Poe. So why did you go off in another direction there?
I believe it was time for change in my own life. And as far as dealing with Mr. Brady on this term, why this time? It was really the TARP bailout votes. I knew that he had, I believe, committed political suicide, calls himself a conservative, and votes for $700 billion in additional deficit spending. And I knew that he would be extremely vulnerable. I knew that there weren't a lot of candidates out there that would have the guts to take him to task on it. And I've encountered that firsthand, and I'm getting a lot of support, and a lot of people are congratulating me for running against him. But it was the right time, the right opportunity, and Mr. Brady committed, I believe, the ultimate mistake. Yes, sir.
Can you give the background of how long you were with Congressman Poe and exactly where you were? Were you located here? Were you in Washington? Kind of give the background
okay.
on that.
I worked for 2 years with Congressman Poe, from the very end of 2006 to the beginning of 2009. My official title was caseworker. I had helped people with federal agencies, VA, Social Security, immigration, passports. Basically, if anybody had a problem with a federal agency, I would assist them. Also, because of my journalism background, I've been a journalist for 2 years previously. I've been in the area, long-time resident. I also wrote speeches because of my journalism background.
Follow-up, is Congressman Poe, is he supporting your efforts?
I have not asked for his support. He typically doesn't endorse candidates. He doesn't, for some reason, that's a decision that he makes. I know there was a little bit of controversy with President McCain, or candidate John McCain, that the media was kind of saying, well, are you going to support him? And he eventually said, yes, I'll support him. But typically, he doesn't support candidates, and I have not asked for his endorsement.
Except KB. That's it. We're out of time. Thank you.